Yes, I'm Darin Labrenz. I'm President and CEO of Pure Gold Mining, and I'm going to talk to you today about our mine. We are Canada's next gold mine. We're fully funded to production with first gold pour targeted for before Christmas this year. We've got a strong, healthy buffer in place, to carry us through the mill completion and through our working capital period, and furthermore to fund an aggressive exploration campaign, which started, a couple of weeks ago. And I think that's one of the things I want, our listeners and viewers to carry away from this, that, what we've done here is we've very much built a mine that's scalable, and we've taken a staged development approach with the first phase, phase one, if you will, coming on stream here towards the tail end of this year. But we're already thinking about where the growth comes from. In fact, we've already defined resources outside the footprint of that phase one mine. We've done early stage engineering work on that, and we're continuing to move that fairly aggressively forward to really show where the growth comes from. This is in Canada. It's Red Lake, Ontario. It's an area that's seen continuous mining over a 90-year history, and comes with all the benefits of Canada, including the jurisdiction, strong, stable regulatory environment, a strong pool of skilled labor to draw from within the Red Lake area itself. And then also in today's market, we've seen, collectively across the gold space, we've seen a real margin expansion over the last year. And in Canada, we benefit from that in two ways, both from the movement in gold price, but also the Canadian dollar, which remains quite weak, such that we're seeing record gold prices in Canadian dollar terms over the last couple of months. So I'll jump right in. I'm going to weave a few kind of concepts through this presentation. I'm going to talk about location as I just have. We'll talk about grade, scale, and growth. This image here is Red Lake, Ontario. You can see the benefits right in front of us. You got a paved highway that if you follow for another 20 kilometers, you're at our mine gate. Power line, obviously grid power right to site, and it's dotted with headframes as we see in the distance here. These are this is the Red Lake Mine Complex, which has been mining continuously for 85 years. And I think one thing, when you say it all began 2.7 billion years ago, this is a period in the Earth's history where a similar style of deposit was being formed across the world, and they share characteristics. They're volumetrically small often, but very high grade, and they pack a really big punch. And they're very deep rooted. So when you look at the mine in front of us here on this picture, it's currently mining at a depth of 2.5 kilometers, and that's a part of our story in terms of where the growth will come. Simplified geological map here. I'm not going to go into any great detail, but I do want to highlight, in my opinion, what it means to be in Red Lake. And there's really two key features here. You want to be in the green. These green rocks are known as the bomber assemblage. They have the right chemistry. Of the 30 million ounces that's come out of the Red Lake to date, 95% of it comes out of that green assemblage, or the bomber assemblage. And you want to be near the contact between green and yellow. Call it what you want: an unconformity, a thrust fault, a rift fault. At the end of the day, it's a collision zone that's highly deformed. It's where the fluids came and it formed these large deposits. So we've really highlighted two corridors here that capture those two elements. To the north, what we have is the Red Lake Mine Complex, and it's the host of the Red Lake Mine. It's now owned by Evolution Mining. And then to the south, at the bottom part of the image, we've outlined in the red dashed line our own Pure Gold Mine Complex, and we own 100% of it. So we think we're in the right spot here geologically. The next image I'll show is a cutaway, really showing the relationship between those two corridors. Again, on the right side, what we're looking at here is the Red Lake Mine Complex, and I'll just draw an arrow here to show you what I'm referring to. 25 million ounces of gold has come out of the Red Lake Complex. What you can see here is there's similar scale between that and our own Pure Gold mine on the left-hand side. One difference here is we're mining down to a depth of about 2.5 kilometers. And what I'm pointing out right now is the tail end of the high-grade zone. The high-grade zone of the Red Lake mine was transformative. It really was the birth of Goldcorp and ultimately turned them into a $20 billion plus company. But 6 million ounces has come out of that high-grade zone, and it's grade of about 70 plus grams per ton. So you can see the true value of that material. On our side, we're showing resources only. In that window, the top kilometer has been 2.5 million ounces of historical production. We've got 2.1 million ounces in indicated resource, another 500,000 ounces in inferred resources in that top 1 kilometer. And so you're looking at a mineral system here that's, approaching 5 million ounces. And so this is a large mineral system in place. And that's only in the top kilometer. Again, reference the Red Lake Mine Complex down to 2.5 kilometers. We have a drill hole at 2.1 kilometers that we show here, 14.3 grams per ton over 2 meters, that sits 2 kilometers below surface. And that really gives us a strong degree of confidence that our deposit continues to 2+ kilometers depth. Flip over to plan view to show you where the growth is going to come from. The colors you see on the screen here really reflect a classification, if you will. In red, what we're looking at is the footprint of the phase 1 mine projected to surface. That's our million-ounce reserves at 9 grams per ton. In the lighter red color or pink, what we're showing are new discoveries that we've made over the last several years that form part of our mineral resource, but weren't considered in the feasibility study that we completed in February of last year. So effectively, what we did is we took that mineral resource of 2.1 million ounces indicated and 0.5 million ounces of inferred, and we ring-fenced a million-ounce reserve, and we said, let's get started with this, move into cash flow, and continue to work on the new discoveries as the second phase of our project. I'll draw attention here also to the scale from the bottom left corner here, where we're showing the wedge up to the top right corner. We're looking at 7 kilometers of strike extent to the mineralized corridor that hosts our deposit. There's 1.3 million meters of drilling that's gone into defining that resource and reserve, which is phenomenal. When you think about it, we've got about 6.5 meter spacing between drill holes within the reserve. So a tremendous density of information, which is a real de-risking element. I also want to draw attention to the 8 zone, which sits right here. This is our high-grade zone. It shares the same geological environment as the high-grade zone in the Red Lake Mine Complex to the north of us. And you can see some of the grades in the call-out box there, 4.3 meters at 466 grams per ton, 5+ meters at 340 grams per ton. It's truly astounding when you look at some of the grades we're showing here. So next image I show will be a long section, really drawing a line down the structural corridor here, down our deposit and looking at it from the side. And it gives you a sense of the strength and scale of the mineral system in place here. So every one of those dots is a drill hole. It's color-coded by grade. Magenta dot is 10 grams per ton or above. So you can see the sheer quantity of these intercepts. There's 13,000 intercepts of 10 grams per ton or more. This coalescing mass that we see here in the top kilometer, that's our phase 1 footprint, and you can see it's wide open down plunge, down to another kilometer where we have this 14.3 over 2 meters. The 8 zone sits here, our high-grade zone. Again, it's open up and down plunge. And as I move to the left, we have the fork zone, the wedge zone. These are things that we've discovered that are open for expansion that aren't considered in the phase 1 plan, but they're areas that we're working on currently to develop as the next set of reserves, future reserves. So this is what we think it looks like. Shows the plunge line of the deposit. It's it's a huge system, 10 kilometers in strike length, and it is open down plunge, and that forms a real opportunity for future growth. To that end, we recently announced the initiation of a very aggressive exploration program, the first phase of which will be 30,000 meters. Ultimately, we're looking at about plus 50,000 meters of drilling here between the balance of this year and next year. And that drilling has really got a threefold purpose. 1, to infill, expand, and convert resources to reserves. 2, to look at our new discoveries, increase the confidence in those resources, and grow those resources to form the potential for an expanded mine plan, which we look to incorporate during mining. And 3, to look for, unveil, and establish the transformative growth potential of zones such as the 8 zone. Talk about the numbers in a minute, but I'll give you just a quick snapshot of what's happening on the site. Within the existing processing plant, so this is a brownfield site that came with a mill, tailings management facility, and underground development. Within the process plant, we've gone through and certified all the electrical works, the overhead cranes, and we've started to remove equipment to be replaced. So we removed all the pumps, the motors, the piping, we removed the ball mill, we removed the pre-leach thickener, the regenerative kiln, we removed the gold room, and that's because we're putting new systems in place. We'll have additions in the grinding circuit, a new gravity circuit, the thickener will be replaced, and we're putting a new gold room in along with modern instrumentation and controls. And effectively, this will give us a new mill at the end of the day, which will really de-risk the startup and maximize our mill availability. Underground pre-production development started about 6 months ago. We put in about 1,400 meters of development to date, and we're achieving better than planned. In other words, our productivity underground is better than we had planned from the feasibility study by about 70%. And that has a material impact. It means we're opening up the mine quicker. We'll have access to high grade and be able to sequence appropriately. At sub $800 an ounce all-in sustaining costs, we're looking at about $900 an ounce of margin on a per ounce basis, or about 1,250 Canadian dollars. And that's really driven by grade. This will be the 5th highest grade mine in Canada and the 17th highest grade mine on the planet, which puts it in about the 95th percentile. A quick look at the cash flow here. You get a sense of what it looks like year over year. This strong cash flow we see in years 5 and 6 here. What we believe we'll see here with the improvements we've seen in underground development, we're looking at bringing this cash flow up to year 3, and that's because we're getting deeper faster. And so that really means that we can optimize that grade as I discussed. We're going to hit that high grade 8 zone quicker. About a year out from now, we're going to be established underground, and we'll be able to start drilling off the 8 zone and extensions to the 8 zone. And I think that's going to be a real exciting time for us as we start to see some of that grade in drill core. This line here shows you where we're thinking this deposit's going to go. So as I've described, it's very much a phased approach. This is the phase 1 cash flow that we're showing here. We're looking at moving those surface discoveries quickly into a mine plan, and through further work growing those resources to layer it on top and ultimately push that production profile upwards. And so that's effectively where we're at today. We're building our phase 1 mine. We're on target, on schedule for gold pour in December of this year. So this is rapidly approaching. It will be the 5th highest grade mine in Canada, but importantly, we're already thinking about future growth. And to that end, we've got 3 drill rigs turning for the balance of this year and next year as well to drive that growth profile. So thank you very much for your time.